This is KGW News at 5.
Hello, and we begin here on KGW News at 5 o'clock with school staffing shortages. It's a problem for districts across the state, and parents say it's leading to disruptions. Parents at one Portland school say bus routes are getting canceled. The district says it's because of a lack of drivers. And as Christine Pitawanich found out, that's leaving some kids unable to get to class.
My name's Andrea Tomlin. I am a parent of two kids that go to Ainsworth Elementary. The school year's been overall pretty good.
Even so, there have been some rough spots for parents.
Our bus route gets canceled pretty much every day.
My name's Jamie Davis. This is the beginning of week 4 that his bus has been canceled.
Portland Public Schools, like so many districts, is experiencing a shortage of bus drivers. That, the district says, has led to daily changes and cancellations of some bus routes. But more drivers are being hired and trained. We've asked the district how many routes are being canceled each day and how long it's been happening, but those answers are still unclear.
Luckily, we're in a position where we can take our kids to school very easily.
But Tomlin says there are some kids who aren't getting to school. She's a part of the Parent Teacher Association and works closely with school leaders.
They reached out and said, is there anything that the PTA can do? Because we have kids that have not been in school for 2 weeks.
Tomlin says she's getting calls from other parents
saying, what can we do and how can we help? And we're driving past these kids that are standing at bus stops waiting for the bus, and they don't even know that it's not coming.
So she jumped in to help.
I spent a weekend calling churches to see if I could find 15 passenger vans.
Insurance and liability made that plan tough. Parents organized carpools, but it doesn't feel like it's quite enough.
Even those parents who think that this doesn't impact them, it does. It impacts all of us because we're in this together.
Parents I spoke to say they wish they had more communication with the district, especially in regards to how decisions are being made around bus cancellations. The district sent KGW a statement that said in part, "We have made it a priority to cover all SPED routes first to lessen the impact to these families." SPED meaning special education. But no word yet on whether there are plans to get kids to school who don't have access to other transportation. Christine Pitawanich, KGW News.
And with this tight labor market, companies are trying a bit harder to find employees, especially for the holiday season. KGW's Bryant Clerkley went to a hiring event at UPS. Bryant, what are they doing to try to make sure jobs are filled?
Hey Laurel, UPS is searching for 1,500 seasonal workers. Now the company anticipated over the summer that it could be hard to make that many hires, so they were really being aggressive, and they're offering higher pay than previous years and programs that help students pay for college.
We still have somewhat low labor force participation in Oregon. It's only about 62%. And a few years ago, it was as high as 66%.
University of Oregon economics professor Keaton Miller says that 4% difference means 75 to 100,000 people are still out of work in the state. He says this could be an issue for shipping companies searching for seasonal workers, especially for the holidays.
So if they can't find the number of workers that they need, if they can't get those positions filled, you're going to see delays.
At UPS in Portland, they're trying to find the employees they need during a 3-day hiring event. They need over 1,000 seasonal workers to fill positions like drivers and package handlers. You can get an interview on the spot. Human Resource Manager Alicia Todd says the pay is competitive, the Earn and Learn program allows students to earn money for college, and the schedules are flexible.
Well, we're pretty aggressive in our planning when it comes to peak season anyway. We like to be prepared for anything.
I was working at 24-Hour Fitness, and the start of the pandemic, they pretty much shut all our gyms down. So
Xavier Washington is trying to find a job. He's being interviewed for the driver helper position. He says he understands the job market is in his favor, and he knows exactly what he wants out of his next position.
I say it's really a combination of both high pay and benefits. Benefits is really crucial because a lot of people just go from jobs to jobs nowadays, and it's important to stick through that job and get the benefits.
It is such a big predicament for so many companies. So, Bryant, how long does Miller think this labor shortage is going to last?
Well, Laurel, he thinks the shortage will last until this summer. He says when more kids are able to get vaccinated, more parents will be able to go back to work, and there will be fewer schools shutting down because of COVID outbreaks. But within the next 6 months, companies will have to get really creative when it comes to attracting new employees. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Bryant. Developing tonight, thousands of Kaiser Permanente workers are going on strike. The union authorized the strike last month and is now giving Kaiser management 10 days notice that they're walking off the job. It starts at 6 a.m. on November 15th. There are 3,400 Kaiser workers in Oregon and Washington. They want changes in staffing levels and they also want higher pay. Both sides will continue to negotiate over the next few days to try to reach a compromise. Now that kids as young as 5 can get the Pfizer COVID shot, Oregon is moving to get its kids vaccinated. State health officials expect 180,000 initial doses to arrive, and that covers about half of the state's 342,000 children in the 5 to 11 age group who just became eligible. However, health officials caution parents may have to wait a few days before the vaccine is widely available for those kids. A mess on the roads today. A semi-truck on I-5 overturned at the Terwilliger curves, blocking 2 northbound lanes. And as you might imagine, that resulted in backups for hours. Crews are still working to remove the truck, so expect more delays in the area. No word yet on what caused that crash. But I'll tell you, the weather out there was wet and windy on the roads. Let's turn to our weather now. Here's a look over downtown Portland tonight. A great evening. We've had a number of advisories and warnings, so let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino with an update in our first forecast. Matt?
Those have largely been canceled, at least for the valley. We still have a coastal flood advisory on the north coast and some wind advisories on the east side. And you couldn't tell from that Wells Fargo shot, but there is some blue sky out there over downtown and elsewhere right now. You can see the break that we're seeing. Old Storm moving up into BC right now, but look, the next one is not very far away, so we will go back to steady rain later on tonight. Couple breaks in the clouds out in Washington County at the Reserve Golf Course, but I just looked out the window here downtown and we've got just a full-on blue sky over parts of our sky, parts of the view. 53 degrees, winds out of the southwest. They're light at 11 miles an hour. And they're pretty light all around the state. Westerlies in Bern, southwesterly 16 at Pendleton. That's about the most out there right now. But boy, was it ever windy earlier in the day. A gust of 58 miles an hour at Clatsop Spit. That's that little peninsula that sticks out basically between the Pacific Ocean, the mouth of the Columbia River near Astoria. Scotts Mills in the valley had a gust of 45 miles an hour. Southwest Portland, a gust of 48 miles an hour. Newport 55 and Crown Point, because they still had an east wind, gusted to 78 miles an hour. That was the biggest gust, interestingly enough, out of the east in the gorge before the winds began to switch around and come around out of the south and then eventually out of the west in the gorge. So the winds are easing now, and yes, it will be wet, but not as windy this weekend. Gusts well below 30 miles an hour this weekend, so should be light enough that we don't bring down any more limbs or power lines. But there is the potential for more windy weather Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Laurel, back to you.
But nice to see that break in the clouds right now. Thank you, Matt. Today, the Portland City Council began talking about how to spend an extra $60 million in tax money this fall. Commissioners expected to have about $5 million to spend, but the surging economy brought in a whole lot more. And one of the big proposals for that money is funding to hire more police for the city and to outfit them with body cameras. Commissioner Mingus Mapp said he supports that, as well as expanding the city's behavioral health teams and setting aside more beds for people who have mental health problems and are violent.
Those are a package of programs that I think actually will make Portland safer and we can afford to fund and would make a difference in people's real lives within the next 12 months.
The commissioner asked for $2 million for those extra mental health beds, and the mayor funded it at $0. But Mapp said he believes that is an oversight and will ask the mayor to restore that money. Today's meeting was a work session. The final decision is a couple of weeks off.